Okay, so today we are talking about section 5.3, which is parallel lines and transversals. And parallel lines are coplanar lines. That means they're in the same plane that do not intersect. They never intersect because they're parallel. Okay, and this is what they look like. And usually you'll see some little mark on the lines to show that they are parallel. That means they're both moving in the same direction. They're never going to touch. So for the next one, transversal. A transversal is a line that cuts through two other lines, and all the lines are coplanar. So they're all in the same plane. So for example, if I have, and they don't have to be parallel, the transversal is going to go through both of these lines. And what it does is it creates all these angles. And these angles have relationships with each other. So we have interior angles and exterior angles. And that's the next thing that we're going to talk about. All right, so interior angles are angles that are inside of the lines. So these angles here are all interior because they're inside the lines. And so exterior angles are going to be on the outside. So these would be your exterior angles. Okay, so that's pretty self-explanatory. Okay, so once again, I have drawn three coplanar lines. That means they're all in the same plane. And two of them are being cut by this transversal. So the transversal is the red line, and it's going right through both the other lines. And it creates all these angles that have relationships with each other. So number 5, if I'm talking about alternate interior angles, alternate means on the other side of, and interior means inside. So when I say alternate interior, I mean they are on the other side of, I don't like that color, hold on a second. On the other side of the transversal, and they're inside the lines. So 2 and 8 would be alternate interior to each other. Also, 3 and 5, good. 3 and 5 are also alternate interior because they are on the inside of the lines and on the opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 3 and angle 5. Okay? And so, similar with the alternate exterior angles. Now these are on opposite sides of the transversal, but on the outside of the lines. 1 and 7, yeah. 1 and 7, because we're going like alternate on the opposite sides of the transversal, like across from each other.
That's it? Just 1 and 7?
No.
And 4 and 6, right?
Yeah. I thought you were saying angle 1 and angle 4 were together.
I was thinking on both often.
Yeah. Right. Okay. Ah! I thought I had a highlighter. Doggone it. Okay. So 4 and 6 are also alternate exterior angles. All right, and then corresponding angles means that they're sitting in the same position on the lines. Okay? So I know I have a lot of colors going on here. I think I'm going to delete some so I can show you the corresponding. Okay? So corresponding means they're in the same position. For example, they're both above the transversal and they're both to this side of the lines. So 1 and 5 are corresponding because they're above the transversal and they're both to the left of those black lines. So can you see that there's going to be a lot of these? So there's going to be 2 and 6. They're in the same position. Good. 4 and 8 are in the same position.
3 and 7.
Yes. Good job, guys. 3 and 7. Oh no. Okay, so that's what corresponding looks like. Same position. Okay, so time for a couple of postulates, which are just like our rules in geometry or our facts. And postulate 5 says if two parallel lines are cut by a transversal, then all the corresponding angles are congruent. I'm going to show you an example. So, for example, all of the angles that I made green are going to be congruent. Okay, they're all the same size because those two black lines are parallel lines. So angle 4, angle 2, angle 6, and angle 8 are all the same measure.
So that's
So if this is just like an example. So if angle 2 was 80 degrees, then angle 4 is 80 degrees, angle 6 is 80 degrees, and angle 8 is 80 degrees. Because when the lines are parallel, the corresponding angles are congruent. And also, 1, 3, 5, and 7 would have the same measure as well. Okay? Okay, so for postulate 5, it's telling us if the two lines are parallel, then the corresponding angles are congruent. And the directions would usually say, line, hold on, I have the eraser. Line B and C are parallel. Then you know all the corresponding angles are congruent. Well, postulate 6 is saying the opposite of that. It's saying if you're shown a picture and all the corresponding angles are congruent, then those two lines would be parallel. So it's just the reverse of postulate 5. Okay, so in the book, I'm on page 204 now. At the very top, it gives us this little picture of the parallel lines and the transversal that's cutting through them. And then it asks us to find these different things. So number 1 says find all the alternate interior. So remember, alternate interior is inside the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. All right, so angle 5 and angle 4 would be alternate interior. Also, angle 3 is inside and angle 6, and they're on opposite sides of the transversal. So when you're doing these types of questions, you're always going to have more than one answer. You got to name all of the ones that you see. Okay, so now let's do the alternate exterior, which means they are outside the parallel lines and on opposite sides of the transversal. So angle 7 and angle 2. And angles 1 and 8. Now, same side interior is just what it sounds like. It's on the same side of the transversal, but inside the parallel lines. So that would be 5 and 3. And what else? Good. 6 and 4 are also both inside and on the same side of the transversal. Great. So now they're asking us for corresponding angles. Remember, when lines are parallel, corresponding angles are sitting in the same position. So they would both be on top of the transversal and or on top of the parallel lines and to the left of the transversal, or on top of the parallel lines and to the right of the transversal. So corresponding would be 7 and 3. And there's going to be a lot for this one. Corresponding would be 5 and 1, because they're both below the parallel line, but to the left of the transversal. We would have 8 and 4. And yeah, I think I heard Ethan say 6 and 2. Good. Okay. There we go. So for numbers 5 through 8, I'm rushing because our class is about to end. It gives us 2 angles and we have to tell what type they are. So what type of angles are angle 5 and 1? Anybody? What type of angles? Like our list from the last section.
Same side and
They are corresponding.
Really? I just guessed.
Oh, great.
Total guess.
He didn't learn anything. He's just guessing. Okay, angle 8 and 1. What are they?
Exterior.
Yes. Alternate exterior. Good. What about 4 and 5?
Alternate interior.
Good. Yes. And 2 and 6.
Same side.
They are, and the same side ones are called corresponding. Good. Good. Okay. So that's all I have time for today. And there's a few more in the book. I think you can do yourselves, but numbers 9 through 12, if you need, I can make another video about that. Just email me. All right.